Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. I'm Emma, and in this video I want to show you some new paints I got. So a little while back a company called Huge Miniatures reached out to me and asked if they could send me their new line of neon paints. And I mean, if you know me and have been following this channel for just a little while, you probably know that I love neon paints. So of course I said yes, and they shipped me these 10 different kinds of neon paints. It's not as easy to see here on the webcam, but they're in all sorts of colors from yellow to green, reds, oranges, blue, and a couple of purple as well. So they sent these to me for free. So full disclosure, this is I mean, I haven't been paid to do it, but it was product that was sent to me so that I could do a review. And I mean, just spoiler alert, I really like these paints. But I've been waiting a little while before I did this video, because I wanted to test them out and see how they felt like to work with and what the sort of finished results were before I gave my opinion on them. But now I have tested all of them, and yeah, I'm really excited to show you what they're like and what they can do. Alright, here you can see some of the paints that I put on my wet palette, and as you can see, when they come straight out of the bottle, they are quite heavily pigmented with a lot of body to them, which means that you get the opportunity to mix them either with, for instance, inks or contrast paints, and of course painting mediums to get them to the consistency you want. I really like that, because sometimes paints that come out really flowy also means that they're not heavily pigmented and thus doesn't give you the coverage that you're going for. Here you can do all sorts of things with them, and I really like that. So just to test these paints out a little bit, I found a black base and just painted with the neon paints straight on top of the black. And I mean, I'm not doing the paints any favors here, because I mean, really nice bright colors don't work as well straight on top of black. I just wanted to test them out and see how well they would cover, and I'm actually quite impressed with them. And yeah, just for a bit of fun, I just wanted to test out to see if they would react to UV light, which they did, which is awesome. Then I wanted to try out the paints, actually, you know, painting a model the way I usually do. And for my first try, I picked up one of the Space Marines from the Horus Heresy box set, and I decided to paint him a nice vivid red with bright orange highlights. So I'm using the two orange paints here, and I have to say I'm quite happy with the way they work. When you mix them with a bit of medium, you can actually do some really nice thin lines for the cross-hatching technique I usually do. I also tried out the pink, of course. I was really tested to go with that first, but I sort of thought I had to rein myself in. So I started with the orange, and then I tested the pink as well. And the same goes for the pink as for the orange. It's really nice to work with. I think I have the impression that perhaps the orange covers a tiny bit better, but that might also just be down to how much medium I mixed it with. So, but this also gives a nice coverage, and it's nice and smooth to work with, definitely. I decided I also wanted to try them out on another kind of painting style. So I picked up an orc. Whenever you have a painting project and you don't quite know what to do, pick up an orc. That would be my suggestion. So I picked up an orc and decided to try painting the green skin using these neon paints to see if I could get a sort of really nice smooth result. And I will have to say, I think this is also one of the places where these paints really shine, because usually when I mix my pigments with inks and do orc skin, the surface will look a little bit fuzzy. You can just a tiny bit grainy, and it can be a little bit tricky to get a really nice, get some really nice transitions and such. But with these paints, it just wasn't a problem at all, because I could just I could mix them with each other, and I could mix them with painting medium, and they would just go on nice and smooth like any other acrylic paint would. And they were really nice to work with for the orc skin. So here you can see some of the finished models I painted with these new paints from Huge Miniatures, and I really like them, and I think they work really well. But as you can probably tell if you know a little bit about my painting style and you've followed other projects, is that they're slightly toned down compared to what I have done previously. So while they are nice and bright and the colors pop, they don't pop quite as much as they do when you mix pink, pigments directly with inks and stuff. I mean, for me at least, this is in most situations, I would say this is a trade-off I'm definitely willing to make, because they are way easier to work with, and you don't have to go through the hassle of actually, mixing the pigments and trying to get the same consistency and the same colors and such as you previously did. You can just use these straight out of the bottle, way easier and way quicker, and you get a way more consistent color scheme. So I think they're definitely worth it, particularly because they are so smooth and easy to use. But if you want the brightest of the brightest highlights, I would perhaps still use just, the pigments mixed with inks for the just final touch. But other than that, I can definitely give these paints my recommendations. I've tried them all out and I like them all. I would say for me, the winners are definitely the greens and the orange. I like also the pinks as well a lot, and the blue and purple are also really nice to work with. They are not quite as neon-y, if you can say that, when you put them on, but that's not, that's not Huge Miniatures' fault or anything. It's just what I found. Also, I've tried mixing blue and purple neon pigments with inks and stuff in the past, and they never get quite as bright. They don't, pop as much as, for instance, the greens, the yellows, the oranges, and the pinks do. So that's just sort of the nature of the color, I guess. I'm no color, scientist, but that's my impression at least. But yeah, I really like these paints. So what do you think? Could they be something you would be interested in trying out? And do you have any ideas for projects I should try to do now that I can actually perhaps do smoother transitions with neon paints? Any sort of suggestions and comments and stuff are, of course, as always, very welcome in the comments section. Also, remember, if you want to stay up to date on my painting projects, you can follow me as Dyson Demons on Instagram and Twitter as well. So lastly, a huge thank you to Huge Miniatures, no pun intended, for sending me these paints. They were really fun to try out and I am super excited about them. Thank you.